Welcome back to Peace, Love, and Light with Queen Keon. Hello, everyone. And I feel like it's been a while, This is why I'm trying to keep up with the momentum, guys, I feel like a podcast a week will really make the soul just transform, So if you have any questions, inquiries, concerns, or if you just want to hop on the show, please feel free to email me at thequeenkeon@gmail.com. Let's go ahead and get this thing rolling. Okay, guys, so this episode is going to be a little lighter, okay? Because I know the last episode was really deep. It touched deep. Some people probably got offended. Some people probably thought, had to really start thinking hard. Some people might have just shed a tear. Some people might have had questions. That's why I said, guys, I want to hear these things. So please feel free to leave me a comment, send me an email, because I want to know what y'all thinking. I want more things to touch on and more things to speak about. So for this episode, we're going to keep it nice and light, and it's going to be simple because honestly, I just want to talk a bit about these quarantine blues, all right? Y'all heard it right. Quarantine blues. That's exactly, I feel like, the mode that most of us are in. This is like, not only are we coming up upon winter, and not only have we been inside most of the year, so that's like a top reason to be depressed, but we've really been spending more time looking within, spending more time with ourselves and with our loved ones and the things that are naturally in our surroundings without having to go too much outside of ourselves to figure out what it is that we would like to do and what makes us happy and what sparks some kind of joy or what even starts the conversation. Some of us are learning a lot of things about ourselves that we never would have thought we would have possibly seen. Things that, you usually have conversations with people, and that might just be the thing that they might be talking about you to somebody else about because you just might be that unaware. Like, it's getting that deep, guys. So that's why I'm calling this quarantine blues, okay? Got the blues and just been feeling down. Don't feel bad, okay? We all going through it, okay? I'm telling you, you are not the only one. So hang in there. And this is why we're going to keep it nice and light today. And it's going to be fun. It's going to be energetic. It's going to be all about us, okay? I just want to hear about you guys. Like, what are we doing these days? How are we keeping ourselves occupied? How are we, pretty much moving forward in our passions and staying driven and motivated? What is it that you like to do to stay out of that quarantine blues mode? All right, let's see. So one thing I will say that I usually say is that self-awareness is key. Self-awareness, that is something that some people lack and some people have too much of. When you spend a lot of time with self, you start to notice things that you may have not noticed. And that was kind of like what I was touching on when I made that comment. Like you might encounter certain people and react a certain way and not really realize in that moment that maybe they may have been offended, I noticed for me, like something that I've noticed about myself within this quarantine, outside of the fact that I lack patience and I am very much so learning it, is that I might also have a bit of an anger issue. But when you think about all that's been going on in, this year, the last year, just all of the death and the negative energy that has manifested, you kind of, in a way, kind of think, okay, anybody would be angry, which is valid. But at the same time, guys, the key to self-awareness is not just being able to point out the flaw or the problem or the habit that needs to be changed. It's also actually making some kind of, knowledgeable action to change it, to be better. Like, no, you're not changing yourself ultimately, but you are growing. And the main key to growth is acknowledgement and just, being aware and just taking control of situations and being accountable. So that's what quarantine has definitely taught me. Really gave me a chance to reflect on my interactions with others while I was spending time with myself and just really think about how I want to talk to people, what message I want to convey to people, how I want to be able to properly express myself without coming off too aggressive or too angry, but also not being passive enough to be stepped over, and to make sure that what I'm saying is valued. And that's something that, I've been working on. So that's what I mean, guys. The quarantine blues, okay? A lot of growth sprouts from the blues, but it is a process. Change isn't easy. It's not easy at all. We can see that as a country, that, this change has not been easy, but it has been very necessary. And this is what we need to do to move forward. So that's really all it is when it comes down to taking accountability for yourself, and the same thing when it comes to those negative emotions. When we're feeling like we're sad and that we might have the blues of some sort, we just have to think, we have to shift our mindset and think, what can we do differently? What is it that I can do today to change this feeling, even if it's for a moment and it's not for the next few hours? What can I do now to shift my attitude? And that's key, guys. And I know it's harder than it sounds. Look, I know, okay? If you follow me on Snapchat, then you see my trials and tribulations, okay? Peace, love, and light is here, but sometimes, we all got a little feistiness in us. And it can be hard. It can be very hard, I guess, balancing your emotions and others' emotions, especially when you care about people. But the key to humanity is that unconditional love and that unconditional understanding and that patience with each other and ourselves. If you don't have patience with yourself, then you will not have patience for anyone else. And that's just the same thing when it comes down to love. But I think that patience with others is key. I am learning, guys, like now especially, like patience with others is key. And I say this because we're all dealing with stuff. Some of us are dealing with things that are more serious and more heartbreaking than others. It doesn't mean that anyone's struggle is less. It doesn't mean that their hurt or their pain is less. It just means that we need to be considerate that we're not the only ones going through something. So how we talk to people, how we treat people, how we look at people, our common knowledge and consideration for people, it matters. And I've realized, honestly, that that's something I have a big issue with. When people are inconsiderate and don't care about others' feelings and how what they do will affect others, it draws a big question mark in my head, guys. I really don't understand. I can't grasp the understanding of not considering anyone else outside of yourself. And I don't know, that's just my personal struggle. For some people, their personal struggle is learning to care about others because they already care about themselves so very much. For me, it's the alternative. I'm learning to look within because I've always looked outside of me. Some of us need to learn how to look outside of us because we're always looking within. But that's what we're here for, to help each other, to balance things out, to be an ear when we have issues, to be able to communicate, And sometimes that's all people need. They just need someone to lend an ear. They just need someone to listen to their woes and their troubles and let them express it. And then at the end of the conversation, maybe just let them know, like, look, you're not alone. You're not the only one going through this. And it will be okay. You know why? Because I got you. I got you. You got me. We gonna get through this together. And that just might be the solution to blues. Who knows? Me personally, I feel like conversation amongst everything is the most helpful, especially with people that you care about and you trust. For me, I'll talk to my best friends, and that can include my mother or my actual best friends. And just sometimes being able to just vent, even if it is exhausting, even if it does come off offensive to someone else. They're there for me in a judgment-free zone and allowing me to express how I feel. Allowing me to express my woes without any, kind of judgment or any kind of backlash, but also with understanding. And then at the end of the conversation, best believe we're going to have an attitude adjustment because we can't leave with the same energy we came in on. And that's how I want you guys to feel when you listen to my podcast. I want us to leave with different energy. I want us to leave with a different appreciation for things, a different level of knowledge. Let's just, what's that word? Mindfulness. Let's just be mindful. Being mindful of others and ourselves. And sometimes that can be hard. balancing out so many things going on at once and still having to maintain mindfulness and being empathetic and sympathetic and just being happy and lighthearted. Those can be hard things to maintain. But this is why we do things that we love. This is why we talk to the ones that we love. This is why we practice affirmations. We speak what it is that we want into existence, even if it isn't appearing right away. We want to make sure that we're putting that energy out there into the universe so that way we can receive it. Although there might be bad things happening in life, we can't always have the mindset that bad things are going to continue happening. That's the reality, yes. But it's already the reality. Why put it in your head? Why manifest it? It's something that will be manifested on its own. So let's focus our energy. Instead of having the blues, let's do things that get us out of the blues. Let's do things that get us out of that rut. Whether that be just walking outside and absorbing some sun. For me, like playing with my puppy sometimes, that makes me happy. Sometimes watching a mindless comedy or anime, that might help me because it gets me out of my head. Anything that'll help you kind of get outside of yourself and really take a look within. Or even just to escape, because sometimes it's not always about looking within. Sometimes it's about escaping and just not having to worry, not having to overthink, not having to think about what's going to happen if I do this or if I don't do this, and all of the bills that I have to pay here and all the people that are dying here and all the things that I can't do, have no control over, Worry about what you can control, right? That's what it's about. That's what's key. So I guess I can say the most interesting thing about this time has been that it's low-key been a blessing in disguise. As you heard, it's a time for self-discovery. How could that not be a blessing? Some of us have been so caught up in navigating in the world, working our jobs, taking care of our kids, taking care of our man, making sure that our family is good, that we didn't have a moment to truly sit and think and just be able to have a moment to ourselves. So this low-key was everyone's halt, especially for those who are usually busy taking care of others and busy just trying to be so adamant about making the things happen that they're passionate about. Like, I know for me personally, before this quarantine started, I was at my peak, guys. I was about to be sous chef at a new restaurant, running shit, boss lady, not my ultimate dream, but getting me every step closer to where I felt like I needed to be. And, the rug got pulled from underneath me, most like most people, the restaurant pretty much, the business didn't renew their lease. So the restaurant closed, not just because of COVID, because we actually maintained it through the COVID pandemic, but mostly so because, just the shift. Maybe they felt like maybe holding down that location wasn't worth it anymore. Either way, it's neither here or there. At first, I felt really, really discouraged. At first, I was so disappointed, and I just couldn't understand how something like this could happen, especially after I dedicated so much time and so much of my passion towards making this happen. And then I realized that this was God's sign telling me to pace myself, take a moment and breathe, and to really hone in on that patience there that I mentioned I'm learning. Because, unfortunately, as I'm often told, I cannot do everything at once. And as much as I hate hearing that, because I would love to accomplish everything that I have, in mind, the reality is that I'm only one person, and it takes time. And some of us, we were operating as if time is just something to just be ran through, not to be valued. And I think that was the biggest issue. Us running through our time, being so adamant about making things happen that were due to happen within its own time. We needed to brace ourselves and pretty much just, reformulate our mindset, reformulate our plan and our blueprint that we thought we had. Because inevitably, this moment of stillness, this moment in which we feel like we're stagnant, was truly a blessing. It was a moment for us to reflect as not just a country, not just as a group of people, not just as a race, but personally reflect and ourselves within our families. A lot of conversations were had at the start of this quarantine because so much has happened. So many people were exposed to different ideas and opinions that they've never heard before. So this really gave you a moment to really look at people and see people for who they are and for what they have to say, and also to be able to identify what people are passionate about. I don't know about you guys, but that was one of the biggest blessings I feel like during this quarantine, to see so many people that are finally speaking, so many people that are finally talking up about things that, some of us have been aware of for years. Some of us have been just sitting here watching as the time goes on, just praying that certain people get it together and that they, open that eye, that third eye, and really just pay attention. And it's happening. It's finally happening. So that, I can say, is the biggest blessing. The level of awareness that we are starting to be on. And it's almost in alignment, It's almost like the shift happened at one time and we're all starting to align in the same direction. So it just says a lot, guys. I don't know about y'all, but I could just tell, 2021, it's definitely going to be something. It's going to be something. That's all I'm saying, because we all thought 2020 was the year, right? It was the year, the year of chaos. But it's okay. Chaos is what makes balance. There cannot always be peace and light and love without darkness and hate and anger. It takes balance. That's why it takes you who cares to spread your message to those who don't know or those who might not care, because you might be the person that shifts their mindset. You might be the person that gets them to think about something that they've never thought about before. So in certain situations, if you feel like it's hopeless talking to people who just don't understand or will never understand, just remember patience. That's the biggest thing that we are all learning as one, I feel like. Patience. Because what else can you do when you're told to sit at home and collect unemployment while they shut down all of the jobs? What else are you expected to do when you get called back to work, but then cases of COVID go up and now you have to think about your safety? What else are you to do besides have patience? Patience with the individuals of the world and patience with the world itself. So I guess that's really all my messages for today, guys. I don't really have anything else to say. For the most part, like I said, please feel free to email me at thequeenkeon@gmail.com. Tell me how you feel about this episode. Tell me how you feel about the podcast. If you have yet to tune into the other 3 episodes, please be sure to listen back after you're done with this one. And for the most part, I wish everyone just a blessed, healthy, prosperous day. And I pray for your patience. I pray for your growth. I pray for your happiness. And I pray for us all to just be great, because inevitably that's what we're meant to be. We're meant to be great beings. And don't you ever believe anything less. But with all that being said, I just want to say one more thing. I don't know who needs to hear this, but have patience with yourself and learn to love yourself just a little bit more. Just a little bit more, to not get so frustrated about the things that you're not accomplishing at the moment. Love yourself just a little bit more, to not feel terrible when you see that someone else might be somewhere else in their life and that's where you want to be. Love yourself just a little bit more when you hear negative comments the way you live your life. Love yourself a little bit more to know that your love is all the love you need. And with that, you'll be great. And if it all fails, just make sure that you email me at thequeenkeon@gmail.com, because I surely do not mind being an ear for those who might need it. So once again, be blessed, stay safe, and love yourself. This was Peace, Love, and Light with Queen Keon. Thank you so much for tuning in today, and I hope that you all have a wonderful day. right, guys, and don't y'all forget to head on over to IG and follow Natural Black Unicorn, as well as Chef Keon and Lock LOC _Empress EMPRESS. I also want to go ahead and give a shout out to Queen Kisses, okay? If you want to have lips as velvety and soft as a queen, then go ahead and head over to Queen Kisses. That's Q_Kisses on IG and Queen Kisses on Facebook. Don't forget to head over to Q_Kisses on IG and Queen Kisses on Facebook, ladies. Get you your lip care so that way your pout can be as perfect as possible. All right, guys, I hope that you've been enjoying the podcast. I hope the last 3 episodes have been nice for your soul and something to help you really think, because I promise you it's going to be a lot of tea and cutting up next episode next week, okay? I have my bestie coming on the show, and it's actually going to be her birthday. My other best friend's birthday is the day before, so we are definitely going to be celebrating, kicking back, and just talking shit. Pretty much said. Just know it's gonna be a lot of tea, sweet tea. So if you are looking forward to it, go ahead and just leave me a voice note, a comment, send me an email. Make sure you follow me at Lock LOC _EMPRESS. Check me out at thequeenkeon@gmail.com if you want to send me an email and just send me some ideas for the latest tea that you might have. It's gonna be amazing, guys. This is episode number 4, so number 5 is gonna be a hit. We are getting there. I hope that you enjoyed, and make sure you tune in. Tell your family, tell your friend, and tell your folks, okay?